mentioned it, Steph Curry putting on a show. You saw those numbers, 43 and 10, a crucial Game 4 win. Do you think this was the best performance of his career?
I believe so. I mean, obviously, he's had individual games where he's been absolutely spectacular. I mean, I saw him come to the Garden and drop 54. I've seen him drop 60 against Portland. I've seen some spectacular games. But considering the magnitude of the moment, to watch him perform this way, shooting 50% from the field, 49% from three-point range, dancing around one defender after another, he looks nothing short of spectacular. This is, and considering what you're not getting from the other guys and how he is carrying this team, it is no question this is the greatest performance of Steph Curry's career.
Absolutely. And Stephen A., as we get set to get Shaq, obviously he's busy today doing a lot of media. We're working on getting him. I just want to know, did he see me defend him when you called his suit a tablecloth?
I don't know if he saw that or not, but, you know, I mean,
want to make sure he hears it now.
Listen, I'm quite sure, you know, you'll come to his defense because that's what you do. You'll come to anybody's defense against me. You're Mrs. Benedict Arnold. You betray me every day. But that's okay. That's all right. I can take it. But in the end, listen, Shaq is a guy that...
The show would be so boring. That's my job.
No. It's not it is not your job to betray me. That's what you do all the time. But it's okay. It's okay. I can take it.
You've become larger than life. I just like to bring you back down to earth.
And what? Orange Crush. Orange Crush. And what are you? I mean, what are you? You the quiet little mouse? Oh, no. Last time I checked, your profile has elevated exponentially. You the matriarch, girl. You Molly Q. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, I would dare say your profile has gotten larger than mine. I mean, they tune in to look at you. I mean, they tune in to look at you. I mean, but they also look at you to betray me, to turn against me every time somebody shows up on the show. And I got to tell you, I'm very hurt by it, Molly. I'm just very hurt by it. But I'm going to get over it, okay?
My goodness.
Hold on.
Brick is ready for his crying scene. When is Brick going to have his crying scene? Let's let Jeff Hospital know.
Not a crying scene, but, you know, a love scene might be coming up soon.
I'm sure you've been practicing.
It is. I don't need
my goodness. Okay, Shaq's here. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you.
Let's go to what? Tex Johnson in Texas?
Stop talking about the damn Cowboys. You understand me, son?
Whoa. Who is this?
Well, I'm Wilt Chamberlain.
Hell no! This is you, isn't it, Shaq?
Shaq. He's the greatest of the universe.
Yes, it is! Oh, hell no!
Do I think I would have killed Wilt? Yes.
Oh, my God! You tried that? You actually tried that with me?
Can you dig it?
Is he? Oh, there he is. You know, I didn't know Shaq is from the tri-state area. I have even more respect now.
Well, thank you.
Neil joining us. Shaq, how are you today?
I'm doing good. First of all, Stephen A., next time me and Jerome call you and I ask you if we're doing an interview, don't be talking about you ain't know. You went behind my back to get this interview. But because Molly's here.
I no such thing.
But because Molly's here, I agreed to do it. Don't go behind my back.
I appreciate that.
Me and Jerome called you after we saw the ticket tape and said, hey, man, what's this interview? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. And by the way, why you late? What the hell took you so long? Why you keeping your boy waiting? Why you keeping your boy waiting? What's that about?
First of all, I wasn't late. The assistant that you hired didn't know how to work the damn earpods.
Blame it on Stephen A.
Where's he at? Hold on, come here.
Oh my
come here. Come here, man, because they think I'm late.
Don't do this.
This guy right here.
Don't do this.
Good looking guy. Yeah, him. It was him from America.
You guys are unbelievable. Oh, my goodness. All right, Shaq, let's get into it here. We got a few questions for you. Well, I want to start with Curry. So obviously he put on a show Friday, dropping 43 and 10, evening the series. Do you think a fourth title puts him in your company? I'm talking top 10 all time.
He's already in my company. Me and Steven had this conversation before. With so many great guys before us and even guys coming after us, some guys have their own special category that you can't mess with. For example, when it comes to the most dominant, Wilt, myself, the GOAT, you always got Kobe, LeBron, and Mike. When it comes to the greatest shooter of all time, Steph Curry is in there by itself. So Does that make him top 10? In my opinion, it does. I love the way he plays the game. He plays with great energy, great passion. And you knew that as great as a player he is, that he was going to have a game like that. He needed to have a game like that for them to win. And that's what great players do.
Well, Shaq, if you're going to have him in your top 10, who the hell do you take out? Yourself? Wilt? Russell? Tim Duncan? Who do you take out? Bird? Who?
The top 10 list is kind of difficult to make. So I think like we should always put it in categories: top 10 guards, top 10 forwards, top 10 center. But is he a top 10 player? Yeah. You got to take out somebody. You ain't gonna take me out, but you got to take somebody out.
Yo, let me ask you this, man. Watching Boston in this series, we've seen what Steph Curry has done. I want to know, first of all, who did you pick to win this NBA Finals series? And looking at what you've seen from Boston, what do you think is going to happen over the next 3 games?
I picked Golden State to win, but as I look at Boston, I see a team that is not scared. I see a team that is not intimidated. And at times they pick on Curry. I think it was in Game 3, whoever Curry was guarding, they was going at him. And it's actually, I heard you guys say it's going to go 7. I actually kind of believe that. The game tonight is very, very important. I think Golden State will win, but, Tatum and Brown and Smart, the way those guys are playing, if they can come in and stay focused and, steal a game, it will go 7. But I'm going with Golden State tonight.
A lot of noise has been made about the way Jason Tatum has looked in this series. He's only shooting like 25% from 2-point range, even though he's shooting 45% from 3. He hasn't been himself. A lot of people have pointed out to how anemic he's been, particularly in the second half and specifically in the fourth quarter. What do you make about what you've seen from Jason Tatum in terms of his standing in your eyes? Because I know how big you are about holding stars accountable to be stars.
Listen, I love Jason Tatum. I have nothing negative to say about his game. It's just that in this point of the season, your PPG and your performance has to go up. I can remember my first time making it to the finals after we beat the great Michael Jordan, and I was just being cool. And even though I was averaging 28 against the Rockets, it still wasn't enough because Akeem outplayed me and Kenny Smith, who I hate, they outshot us and they played well. So when you're the star of the team, you have to play great. No excuses. Nobody cares about the excuses anyway. So he definitely needs to pick it up in the second half. It's 3 games left? 3 games left.
Yeah.
So, if you want to, bring the ring back to Beantown, you just got to step it up.
Yeah. Shaq, let me ask you about LA, because when the Lakers aren't relevant, Stephen A is just insufferable because, he wants to be out there in that whole Hollywood scene. You know how he is, right? What is the feeling? What? Tell me.
Actually, Molly, he divorced LA and he's now a Miami guy now. Did you see him down there with those silk shirts on and the little shorts he had on with his legs all out?
Poppy Chulo. Oh, yeah. I saw it. Looking like Scarface.
Poppy Chulo.
That's what we should start calling him. Yeah. You know how that is for him. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. If
Don't let me get started with you.
LA's his wife,
Don't let me get started with
mistress.
you.
So let me get started.
One of the greatest comedians, great comedians, Ari Spears, once hosted, Shaq's, all-star comedy and talked about that picnic table suit that he had on. Don't get me started with Shaq. You better stop. Don't mess with me.
I just want you to know, I'm objective, and I saw the suit, and I defended the suit. I didn't see what was wrong with the suit at all whatsoever.
Thank you.
I thought the suit, and I would have been
Molly.
honest. Listen, I kind of look like Big Bird today, so I like the loud things. All right, let's stay focused, though. The Lakers, what is their ceiling with Darvin Ham?
I wish I could answer that. I wish Darvin Ham well. I've known him for a while. He definitely has big shoes to fill. This is something we were not expecting. With the caliber of players that they have on the team, I thought they would at least get a coach with championship experience. But hey, I wish him well. He's going to have to make those 3 guys work together, and hopefully they could at least make the playoffs. But I don't know. But I'm not at liberty to say what Coach Darvin Ham can and can't do. I don't know.
All right. We'll leave it there with that. But please tell me about what you're doing with your foundation. I know you're paying it forward. I love it with comeback courts. I also love that that's spelled with a Q. Talk to me.
ICI and I, we started an initiative called Comeback Courts, where we're going around certain hoods and we're just, refurbishing the courts. This is the court that I used to play on when I was a kid in Newark, New Jersey. And we want to give a kid the opportunity to be the next Kobe, to be the next T-Mac, to be the next Steph Curry. Kids need stuff to do, and, they just like going to play basketball. So I want to give them a beautiful court where they could just come and, accomplish their dreams, because this is where it started for me.
I love it.
Molly, let me tell you something, Molly. He don't talk about it much, but SHAQ is always doing great things for the kids. He is truly Santa Claus in so many ways, and I give him a lot of props. My only advice, if I may say so, is don't try to dress nobody. Don't do it, okay? Don't do it. Don't try to dress anybody, SHAQ. That's not your gift, okay? Let's just be clear.
First of all, if you don't take off that trial lawyer suit that you got on before you're talking crazy to me.
I knew he was going to say that. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Go to commercial. Go. Bye, Molly.
Where
Bye.
my boy
Go to
at?
commercial. I gotta bump
Where my
things.
boy at?
Things
Big
to
Perk
happen.
at? Where Big Perk at?
Big Perk's in the Bay, getting ready for tonight.
Yeah, he's trying to get ready, as Saturday Night Live parodied him. He's trying to get ready for, NBA coverage and all of that stuff. I mean, damn it. It's like a buffalo getting slapped in the backside with an ironing board. That's what kind of stuff that he coming up with, SHAQ. That's the kind of stuff he coming up with. I don't know what the hell Perk gonna say next. I really don't.
SHAQ, best of luck with all the comeback courts. Please join us again and have more time. We got more to talk to you about.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Wear another shirt next time.
Oh. JJ Redick is here, so we're talking Lakers. They came into the season with high expectations that came crashing down and culminated in them missing the playoffs altogether. Part of the reason they flopped, the durability, or rather lack thereof, from big man Anthony Davis. Davis missed 42 games this season and has missed 54% of Lakers games in the past 2. Over the weekend, AD gave an update on his offseason. He said he hasn't taken a shot since April 5th. JJ and Amari Stoudemire here with us. And JJ, I want to start with you. Is this a big deal or no big deal that he hasn't taken a shot since April 5th?
This is not a big deal at all. Every professional athlete has an off-season routine. Amari, let me ask you a question.
Talk to me.
Objectively, I'm probably somewhere in the top 10 or 15 greatest shooters of all time.
Yeah.
Probably.
I'll give you that.
Okay.
Yes, I give you that.
Okay. All right. Thank you both. I appreciate it. But my point to that is I didn't take a shot in any offseason until after July 4th. It didn't matter if we lost in the first round, conference finals, whatever. I took time to get my body right. I spent all of May, all of June in the weight room doing mobility, doing Pilates, doing conditioning. I got my body right. And then once July 4th weekend happened, I was in there 6 days a week shooting. I take Saturdays off. I know a lot of guys across the NBA that follow a similar routine. Steph Curry's the greatest shooter of all time. And a few years ago, they ran an article about Brandon Payne, his trainer, and Steph and the work they do in the offseason. And they provided his schedule in the offseason. And there were these long breaks in between shooting. Steph would only do work in 4-day segments at a time. And he would always take some time off after the season to get his body right. This is completely normal. And Anthony Davis talked about his offseason schedule in response to the backlash against this. The guy has been working on his body. And if we're talking about Anthony Davis and what he needs to work on, it's making sure he's available to play. This is not a big deal at all. This is completely normal, Stephen A.
Listen, can I deviate from this subject just for a second before I address your point? Because I got a lot of issues with some of the points that you mentioned. But I have to ask a question, Mr. Top Gun, because you're a good-looking dude. I got to give credit where credit is due. Does the Pilates work? I'm just curious. I've never tried it. Does it work?
You know, I started doing Pilates when I was a senior at Duke, and even to this day, I don't work out anymore. I still do my Pilates once a week. It is the best workout.
On a reformer?
I do reformer mat. Yeah, I do classical Pilates. There's different schools of thought with Pilates.
Does it work on the core?
It works on the core. I had back problems early in my career, and it has kept me right for the last 16 years since I started doing it.
All right. Because
Highly recommend, Stephen A.
That's what I'm going to ask. I'm going to try it. I appreciate the advice. Now let me get on you for that ridiculous take that you just spewed to the American public, okay? How dare you show up on national TV and spew the nonsense that you just spewed? I will remind everybody, we are talking to a guy by the name of J.J. Redick. We just listened to one of the most ridiculous takes he will ever give on national television. Amari Stoudemire, J.J. Redick is a career for J.J. Redick, Mr. Top Gun himself, okay, is a career 41.5% shooter from three-point range. In other words, you could afford to wait until the summer to shoot. Anthony Davis is fresh off of shooting 18% from three-point range. 18%. The season before that, it was 26%. What the hell are you talking about? It's no big deal. It's no big deal when it's you, because like you said, you could shoot. So you could take time off.
But how do you think? But how do you think I got to become a 41.4% three-point shooter? How do you think I got there, Stephen A? It wasn't by shooting in April and May.
Time out. I don't have to think about it. I'm watching a career with J.J. Redick that shows every single year in the high 30s to the 40% shooting. Every single damn year of your career. This dude shot 18% from three-point range. And you're going to tell me that after you missed the playoffs, you missed the play-in with LeBron James as your teammate, and you're not working on your shooting. You should be shooting every day. You should be shooting when you laying down with your kid, playing around. You should be shooting Nerf basketballs. You should be shooting in garbage cans. You should be shooting that. You should go to the restaurant and throw the damn receipt into the garbage. I don't give a damn what it is. He got to shoot something.
Maybe you would have shot even better.
Hold on, Molly. Hold on, Molly. Last point before Amari goes.
Yep.
Anthony Davis, when healthy, is a top 7 player on the planet. I want him to know that's how I think about him. Anthony Davis is big time when healthy, but there is no getting around how glaringly absent his perimeter shooting was this past season and the season before that. It's something that happened to it. And the bottom line is for you to sit up there and act like it's no big deal. No, you are wrong. Amari, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I understand what you guys are saying, right? Both of you guys are making really good points. And I think what Jay is saying is that for Anthony Davis, what we need him to do is get healthy, right? So you want to take at least a month and a half to get your body in order, get yourself in shape, and then get prepared for your training. Every summer you train, you elevate your training depending on your progress within your training regimen, right? So you start out with agility, you start out with corrective exercises, you build up to explosiveness. So it's a strategic planning for training in the summertime. Now, granted, Anthony Davis not J.J. Redick, right? J.J.'s one of the all-time great three-point shooters. Anthony Davis may not be that, but he is a very versatile player, so which requires you to train more on the basketball court than normal. Why? Because your ball handling skills got to be developed. Your post game got to be developed. Your mid-range game got to be developed. Your elbow, your space on the court got to be developed, and your three-point shot. In order to get all that work in, you have to start a little bit earlier. Now, for me, I always took maybe 3 weeks off from like basketball, just to give my legs a chance to recuperate and get myself ready. But 2 months, 2.5 months is a little bit stretch for someone who needs to work on his game and try to get to a championship caliber space. So I don't think it's a big deal, but I do think Anthony Davis should start first of all, make sure his body's healthy. So, because like you were saying, Stephen A., if he's not healthy enough, if he is healthy, he's top 7 player in the league. If he's not healthy, then it's detrimental for the Lakers. So it's about getting his body healthy first, and then now taking that to the basketball court and improving as a player as you go through the offseason.
The man is shooting over the last 2 seasons, 73 and 71% from the free throw line as well.
Okay.
He's dipping. He's dipping,
it's
shooting.
Great. It's great. And maybe he needs to reassess his offseason routine. My point is it's not a big deal because this is his offseason routine. And the second point is Amari played, I played. The 82 games, it's a grind, man.
It's a grind.
You need time off from basketball.
Absolutely.
And guess what? Like I said, once I was back in the gym, I was full throttle. And you have to be in the right frame of mind.
Yeah.
You're physically, you have to be right to go full.
Correct.
You need a break from basketball, Stephen A. Now, some guys take
He's
a
at
week off.
2.5 months.
2.5 months is a long time.
But this is because it was he's. By the way, he played to the finals in the bubble. No offseason. Last year was a shortened offseason.
He had 4
normal
months
to
off
take a
before they
longer
resumed playing the
offseason
bubble.
when you lose when you don't make the
Am
playoffs.
I missing something?
You're missing a lot, Stephen A. You're missing a hell of a lot of logic right now. You're missing a hell of a lot of logic. Secondly, hold on.
This is the worst. This is your worst segment. This is the worst segment you've ever had on First Take, JJ. Did he not have 4 months?
Your rebuttals to me are the worst rebuttals you've ever had on First Take. I have a question for both of you. Hold on. I have a question for both of you. I have a question for both of you. I stand by what I said. I stand by my reasoning. I stand by my logic. I can't say the same for you. Here's my question. Here's my question. You both said Anthony Davis is a top 7 player. Look, I like Anthony Davis.
When healthy.
When healthy, he's not top 7?
He's better than Luka, Joel Embiid, Giannis, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, and Kevin Durant. If he's better than those guys, if that's what you think, by all means, okay.
We could debate this another day. But when Anthony Davis is healthy, I got him top 7. Yeah.
You've got him better than one of those players. I just want to be clear.
Yes.
Okay. Who's he better than in that list?
You know what? We're going to do this tomorrow. Are you here tomorrow, JJ?
Who is he better than in that list, Stephen A?
Luka. When healthy?
Are you stressed out,
yes.
JJ? Are you okay? All right. You know what we're going to do? We're going to just add this to the rundown tomorrow.
I can understand why JJ would disagree with that, because JJ not taking into account defense and stuff like that either. But I'll leave it alone.
All right, Stephen A.
He's just thinking offense. I'm thinking everything. Luka. Okay. I said it.
That's tough.
All right.
I'll get you back tomorrow.
Let's just all take a moment. Okay, good.
When
we come back here on First Take,
the point, I don't think anybody can, the way that he's looking right now. Ladies and gentlemen, he's averaging 34 on 50% shooting from the field and 49% shooting from three-point range. That's just an absolutely spectacular performance. And then when you take into account the relatively pedestrian and in some cases anemic performances by others, he's carrying this Golden State Warriors team. Let's take a moment to give Andrew Wiggins some love with the defensive wizardry that he's been putting forth, not to mention the fact that he's been rebounding the ball incredibly effectively. Let's take a moment to give Klay Thompson some props because in the fourth quarter, he scored 8 points, 8 big points, as far as I'm concerned, reminding everybody of who he can be, particularly in big-time moments. So let's give him some love. But in the end, Steph Curry has stood out above the crowd. He is clearly the best player on the court in this series thus far. He's been absolutely sensational. We all know that he'll walk away with NBA Finals MVP in the event that they win this series. And obviously right now it looks like a tall task for the Boston Celtics to slow him down. Is it possible? Sure. Because we know that this is an elite defense. I have a hell of a lot of respect for Udoka, the head coach for the Boston Celtics. I think that he'll figure out something to at least slow him down to a touch. I mean, my goodness, you got to figure out something, and you got to get to a point where you're daring somebody else to beat you. Of course, it's going to help with if Jason Tatum steps up with his shooting from 2-point range, because from 3-point range, he shoots 45% from the field. Jaylen Brown, let's throw him into the mix. There's a few things that they could do, but in the end, the reason why I feel like we really need to take a moment to just pay homage to Steph Curry and the greatness that he's putting on display. So many of those shots were contested. So many were big-time shots. But even the times when they weren't necessarily that contested, it's because Steph Curry is figuring out ways to get himself open enough, to get enough space, to get his shot off. He's just a basketball savant. He knows what the hell he's doing out on that basketball court, and he's showing that not just physically in terms of his shooting prowess, JJ, but mentally, in terms of his intellect, the cerebral approach to the game. It's head and shoulders above the guys that he's going against at this particular moment in time, at least definitely in the few games, in a couple of games that they won, and even in one of the games they lost. I just think that right now he's standing out above the crowd. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's a very, very tall task to assume that he's going to be slowed down with the run that he's on. And now it's a best two or three with 2 of those games in Golden State. It's a tall task.
Yeah, I think the question is a good question, because I do think there's things you can do to slow him down. You're not going to stop Steph Curry completely, and that's just the diversity of his game doesn't get appreciated enough. And let's talk about isolation. He's led the entire playoffs for any player, points per possession in isolation. He was 96th percentile in the regular season across the NBA in isolation scoring. He can do everything on the court. But I want to make this point. If you were to build a game plan to stop or limit Steph Curry, you would basically do the opposite of what Boston has done. Now, maybe Ime Udoka and his staff feel like this is the best game plan to beat the Warriors and limit some of the other stuff that can happen in a game when you pay too much attention to Steph Curry. But let's be very clear. Their game plan is awful if your goal is to stop Steph Curry. Playing drop coverage against Steph Curry over and over and over again is asinine. They blitzed him a total of 3 times in 4 games in this series. When Steph Curry shoots against drop coverage, they're getting 1.42 points per possession. That's well above the best offense in the league. You saw these clips on the post splits. They've got the screener's man sitting back in the paint. If I was to develop a game plan, I would switch that. We're switching that at the point of the screen. We're up in pick and roll coverage. We're potentially mixing in some blitzes and some traps. Again, this game plan is not to stop Steph Curry. This is the game plan that they've developed, they've stuck with. Ime Udoka yesterday indicated they're going to continue to play this coverage against him. There's no reason to believe, as great of the individual defense as Boston has with Marcus Smart and Jason Tatum and Derek White, they're not going to stop him if they continue to play this way. They're not going to slow him down if they continue to play this way. What is the harm? What is the risk in changing the game plan? This is an obvious question to that. We saw in the Dallas series specifically, when you blitz Steph Curry, and we've seen it throughout this run the Warriors have had over the last 8 years, when you blitz Steph Curry, you open up a 4-on-3 on the backside. You're giving up layups. You're giving up back cuts. You're giving up 3-pointers in the corner to Gary Payton or to Andrew Wiggins or to Klay Thompson or to Jordan Poole. You have to essentially pick your poison when you play against Steph Curry and the Warriors. And right now, they're choosing Steph Curry as the poison. That's the reality. They haven't had any change in game plan through 4 games that would indicate they're willing to let someone else try and beat them.
JJ, let me interject by asking you a couple of questions. Obviously, this is a debate show, and we got a lot of things to debate. But you're giving basketball lessons to the public here, so I want to take this moment for you to give you an opportunity to educate them even more. Number one, Game 1. In Game 1, what you feel they should be doing now, or have they been playing the same identical coverage through the 4 games this entire series? I'm talking about Boston.
Same coverage. They really have made no adjustments. Right, like I said, they blitzed 3 times in pick and roll. Steph Curry has ran 74 direct picks as the ball handler in pick and roll. They blitzed 3 of those.
So
3 of those.
So
and by the way, they targeted Al Horford. Al Horford has the lion's share of those guarding the screen of those 74. He's 41 of those have been with Al Horford involved in the screen and roll.
So how do you explain the 30-point swing that took place in Game 1 when Golden State was up 15 and then they ended up being down 15 from the midway to the third quarter to the fourth quarter? What happened in that particular moment? Remind us.
Well, some of this was, of course, the shooting that Boston had in that fourth quarter. They outscored them 40-16. They were 9 for 12 on threes. 8 of those 9 makes were on direct drive and kick passes. I thought that was a huge adjustment. I talked about this after Game 2. The adjustment was, Golden State having better closeouts, being in rotation, running guys off the line. They did that masterfully in Game 2. On the offensive end, I think some of the Warriors' problems at times are that they go away from Steph Curry pick and rolls. Like, yes, the Warriors are great playing their movement sets. They're great paying out of post splits and high splits and getting into all that movement, guard screen, slips to the basket. They're great at that. But against drop coverage, you just milk it. You go to it over and over like they did in Game 3. Steph took 12 shots against drop coverage. It's the most he's ever taken in a game. Like, you have to go to that. And he's, by the way, scored 18 points. That's 1.5 points per possession, if my math is correct, which I'm not great at math, but I think that's right.
It is.
So I think they went away from that a little bit in the fourth quarter of game 1. That's not to say they didn't run any pick and rolls, but they went away from what was working. And right now, they're not going away from it. They're milking that play.
Okay. All right, last question. What you talked about, how Udoka came out and said, we ain't changing our coverage. We're going to continue to do what we've been doing, particularly in drop coverage against Steph Curry. We're going to play our game. Is it possible he could be lying? understanding that this series was going long all along. And why show them until it's time? In terms of what? Because we've got the versatility. If we're the Boston Celtics, we've got the versatility. We can man up. We could go zone. We could do a lot of things against you. We don't have to be in drop coverage. We can make sure we make the necessary adjustments. Is it possible that Udoka's just saying that because he understood all along this series is probably going 6 or 7 games, and we don't want to show our hand until it's absolutely necessary? And then once we throw the monkey wrench into the game plan, they're going to be stuck because they've been reliant on this Steph Curry all along, that once we blitz him, once we sit up there and throw a monkey wrench into their game plan, all of a sudden it's going to be too late for them to make the necessary adjustments. Is that possible? Because I look at this right now as a chess match that's going to end up going down between Udoka and Kerr. That's going to be just as significant as the players on the court right now. And let's give Steve Kerr props because he made the moves that he had to make in terms of putting Draymond on the bench, going small, what have you. We saw what he did in order to win Game 4. I'm just wondering, is Udoka going to pull something out of his hat? What do you make of that?
Again, I absolutely think it's possible that he starts to mix things up as we go forward and we play these last 2 or 3 games of the series. It's absolutely possible. The point I want to make to that question, and I played with some really good offensive players, and even as an okay offensive player myself, when you give smart offensive players and smart offensive teams the same coverage over and over on any play, it doesn't, not just high pick and rolls, the same coverage over and over, they are going to take advantage of that. Within a series, you have to be willing to mix things up at times. And I'm not saying they blitz him for 48 minutes on every single pick and roll, or they switch every single post split, but you have to mix it up. Giving Steph Curry a steady diet of the same coverage and over and over, he's too good.
Yeah.
He's too good. And you brought up the question about adjustments. Like, the Warriors haven't had to make any adjustments offensively in this series. It's just like, they're doing this. They're going to keep doing this. Okay, we're going to keep doing that. And it's worked.
All right, we'll leave it there. Steph tied Kobe for the most finals games with 30-plus points. But, gentlemen, I want to focus on 2 other players who haven't dominated like Steph. That would be Jason Tatum. Has been playing his best, averaging just over 22 points per game in the series on just 34% shooting. Draymond Green has also struggled in the series, only scoring 17 points through 4 games. In fact, he has more fouls in this series than he does points. Here's Green on Steve Kerr's decision to take him out of the game in the 4th.
Definitely never thrilled coming out of the game with 7 minutes to go in the 4th quarter in a must-win game. I'm not going to sit here and act like I was thrilled. I'm a competitor. But at the end of the day, if that's what coach decides, then you roll with it.
Stephen A., who do you think's had the more disappointing finals? Is it Draymond Green or Jason Tatum?
I'm going to say Draymond Green. I understand the expectations for Jason Tatum, and I'll leave that to J.J. Redick and others. But let me tell you something right now. And I'm a person that's incredibly fond of Draymond Green. I got a lot of love for him. I'm proud of what he's doing off the court personally. I love his podcast. Let me tell you this right now. This is one of the most horrific performances we've ever seen in the NBA Finals from a starter. I want to remind everybody, there have been 4 games played. Draymond Green has a grand total of 17 points in 4 games. He has more fouls than points. He had 18 fouls and 17 points. He is shooting 0 from three-point range. He is 0 for 9 on his three-point shots. He is 6 for 26 during this series, shooting the basketball from the field. And dare I say, he seemed incredibly rattled in Boston. And I've been making this point because obviously I've had to do a lot of interviews over the weekend and what have you. And what I've said to everybody is this: Cleveland's got a rabid fan base, damn good sports fan base. We get all of that. Toronto, obviously they got their home crowd and what have you, and it was a thrill to be there during the NBA Finals. Canada had a champion, in the finals and all of this other stuff. They ain't Boston. And I'm talking about the city of Boston, the fan base. Highly intelligent, highly rabid, will do anything it takes to throw you off your game to facilitate winning. You know, the F Draymond chants, knowing his family, they don't give a damn. They didn't care. They know whatever it takes to rattle this brother right here, we're going to do it. And Draymond didn't seem equipped to deal with that at all. Nobody should be happier to be in the Bay Area tonight, in San Francisco, than Draymond Green. His performance, with all due respect, because we expect a lot better. We saw it in Game 2, what we saw in Game 2, and he only scored 9 points in Game 2. But what we saw in terms of the totality of his game, the fervor, the energy, the defensive tenacity, the switching, the playing with force and physicality, we saw all of that from Draymond Green. These last 2 games, 3 of these first 4 games of this NBA Finals, he has been awful. Just awful. And so I have every faith that he's going to turn it around, but I qualify it by saying you can't get much worse than he has looked in this NBA Final. We talk about a 3-time champion. Talk about a guy in his 6 finals in 8 years. Okay, once went to 5 straight NBA Finals and is going into the Hall of Fame, having one of the most awful performances we have ever seen by a starter in an NBA Finals. That's why I'm going there, and I say him instead of Jason Tatum, JJ.
And you're more than entitled to that opinion. Here's where I'm going to disagree with you. And obviously, Draymond has been disappointing in this finals. Draymond's value to the Warriors has never been as a scorer. And we can talk about the defense, we can talk about the rebounding, but offensively, his value has never been as a scorer. His value has been as a screener, a facilitator, a ball mover, a playmaker. Those aforementioned 4-on-3s on Steph Curry blitz, that's where Draymond is at his best in the half court on offense, and he hasn't had those opportunities. And we can talk about his points, we can talk about his shooting percentage. Like, I'm disappointed in how much he's fouled. I'm disappointed at times in his defense, but he hasn't been awful on that end, and that's his value. He hasn't been awful rebounding the ball, that's his value. He hasn't been awful as a facilitator, and that's his value. That's where I disagree with you. Tatum, we witnessed, and we've talked about this leap that he's made, right, from star to superstar. He got through Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. He got through an epic performance by Giannis. He got through Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat. And then we get to the finals, and he has been so bad in the second half. Just bad. 9 for 34 from the field in second half of games. Even worse in the fourth quarter. 4 for 16 in the fourth quarter in these games. For the series, on 2, Stephen A., he's 14 for 51. Like, his inability to just put the ball in the basket. He's shooting less than 50% at the rim in this series. On top of that, the bad Jason Tatum that I always talk about, the indecisiveness, the poor decision-making, the high turnover games, we've seen that creep in. It has absolutely hurt his team. And when we started this series, I thought it would come down to whose star player has the better series, whose star player can will his team to a championship, Jason Tatum or Steph Curry. And so far, the answer to that has been unequivocally Steph Curry. Jason Tatum has not played like the superstar he is, has not played like a superstar in this series.
Well, let me say this. We ain't arguing with that. We know that you're right about that. And we know that you're right about the fact that both of them have been, both Draymond and Jason Tatum, have been flagrantly disappointing. There's no doubt about that. But I remember JJ looking at Jason Tatum shoot 3 for 17 in Game 1 and still applauded the 13 assist and talked about the fact that there are different ways to beat you. He's averaging 7.8 assists in this series.
But he did have a low turnover game that game as well, and that's what I applaud.
I understand.
That's what I applaud. 13 assists to 2 turnovers. That's what I was applauding.
Well,
and I actually thought his shot selection in that game was pretty good, Stephen A. And I don't think at times the shot selection has been good at all going forward.
Oh, I agree. Okay, yeah. But what I'm saying to you is this. I walked into the finals bringing up the fact that I remember before the Miami series was over in the Eastern Conference Finals, he was leading everyone in the playoffs in turnovers with 60, for crying out loud. Jason Tatum was turning the ball all over the place. And so what I'm saying is That hasn't been as flagrantly obvious in this series. He's averaging less than 4 turnovers a game. Key moments when he doesn't need to be turning the ball over. Certainly he's been a victim of that. He's been poor at the rim, no doubt about it. But he is shooting 45% from three-point range. He is averaging nearly 8 assists per game. And so when I look at it from that perspective, again, I'm not debating anything that you're pointing out in terms of how disappointing he has been, because you got to finish the deal, particularly in the fourth quarter when everybody's talking about you being a top 10 player, even though he himself has admitted, I never was me. I never called myself a superstar. I never said these things about myself. Who said that? We get that. That's us. That's not him. That's putting that on himself. We've speculated about that, and he's come up short in that regard. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at him averaging 22.3 points a game. I'm looking at him shooting 45% from the field, averaging nearly 8 assists per game. And even though it's flagrantly disappointing, I don't think it's as much as it stands out. The bottom line is we look at Draymond and we're saying, what the hell is this? We definitely expected better, especially when he looks psyched out. And I think it says a lot that when Steve Kerr, again, I didn't make a big deal out of it because I saw what Steve Kerr was doing. He was going small. You put him to the bench, him or Looney in the game as opposed to both of them, because it causes problems for Boston because they like to dribble the ball too damn much at times. And the smaller guys that you put in the lineup, whether it's a Gary Payton Jr. or an Otto Porter, what have you, even though Otto Porter's not that small. And by the way, he's been shooting effectively for them. All his shots have come on three-point shots. Every single shot that Otto Porter has made in this series has been a three-point shot. And he's shooting pretty damn good from about 63% from three-point range. They might want to put him in a game and let him shoot a little bit more too. In the end, when we look at Draymond Green, you do find yourself saying, damn, 17 points and 18 fouls. And let's not forget, Jaylen Brown's been going right at him now. Jaylen Brown's shooting 44% from the field. Jaylen Brown has been attacking Draymond Green. Jaylen Brown has been a headache in his own right, at least at times. We can't ignore that either. So, again, I get what you're saying. I'm not going to disagree with a point that you made about Jason Tatum. I'm just saying that for me, Draymond's ineffectiveness stands out more.
I understand what you're saying. And I think if the question had been who's had a worse finals performance, I think the answer to that, of course, would be Draymond Green. I guess what I go back to, which I brought up in my point about Draymond Green, is what is your expectation? What is your role, and are you starring in that role? So I don't know where all of a sudden we decided Draymond Green is supposed to be some offensive threat. The guy hasn't been an offensive threat in 3 or 4 years in terms of scoring the basket.
But I don't think
that's
about
the reality. When I talk about Jason Tatum, for them to win this series, he's got to be at his best, and he's got to be efficient. What does efficiency look like? Well, it looks like 50-ish% from the field. It looks like 8 or 9 assists with 2 or 3 turnovers. It's not 30% from the field with 5 or 6 or 7 turnovers, which he's had in a couple games. Like, that, to me, is not starring in your role. You need him to be a volume-efficient scorer and a low-turnover playmaker, and he hasn't been that.
All right, JJ, let me ask you this. Stephen A., obviously we know you're going with the Warriors, and JJ, you picked Boston. I also picked Boston. I was feeling really good on Friday, and then, you saw what happened. So tell me this. Who at this point has the edge in this series? Are you feeling a little nervous about your pick?
I'm not feeling nervous about my pick.
Being right.
No.
You think you're going to be right.
Yeah. I still think Stephen A. is going to be wrong, and I'm going to be right on this. No, here's what makes me nervous. It goes back to the first question, the first conversation, the first debate we had about Steph. And what makes me nervous is the unwillingness so far to try something different. And we're now into getting ready for the 5th game of this series, and it's been the same coverage over and over. And that makes me nervous. What else makes me nervous is how bad Boston has been throughout this season and in these playoffs in the fourth quarter and in clutch games. They were 13-22 in the regular season, 2-4 in clutch games going into this series throughout the playoffs. And they just, outside of game 1, they have not been good in the fourth quarter. Their offense stagnates. They turn the ball over. They don't create good shots. There's not enough movement. There's not enough ball movement. And then when I look at the other end and I look at what Steph Curry is doing against the same coverage over and over, that's ultimately what makes me nervous. Do I think Boston will still win the series? Yes, I still think that. But if they're unwilling to change anything with how they're guarding Steph Curry, I don't think they're going to win the series.
Look, man, this ain't no damn class at Duke University. I mean, what the hell? Just say it. Just say it. You nervous? I know I'm nervous. I'm nervous as hell. I picked the Golden State Warriors, and I'm still nervous as hell. See how easy that was, Top Gun? It ain't hard. Hell yes, I'm nervous. Golden State better win tonight's game. I don't like the prospect of Golden State going back to Boston if they lose tonight down 3-2, and just after beating them in Game 4, you going to show up less than a week later and beat them at TD Bank Garden in Boston in front of that fan base again? That's a tall task to ask. As far as I'm concerned, the Golden State Warriors have better damn well win tonight if they're going to win this series, because I got a hard time fathoming that you're going to go back to Boston and beat them back-to-back games in Boston for the playoffs. That's a tall order. I look at Steph Curry, he's been absolutely sensational, but other dudes have not been. And so if again, you're here at Chase Center tonight, Game 5, you did everything that you could to ultimately recapture home court advantage. I have picked the Warriors all year. I'm staying with that pick, but I came into this series nervous about Boston, and damn it, I'm still nervous about the Boston
Stephen A., real
Celtics.
quick. Who do you think has the edge tonight, though, in tonight's Game 5?
Well, I'm going to go with the Golden State Warriors because you got Steph on a roll, and now he's back in his home court, and I expect Draymond Green to be better. Again, we were never expecting a lot from him offensively. But, JJ, you know this better than me. You can watch certain guys, and you just see something missing. That, you know, whether it's call it the mojo, the swag, whatever you want to call it, in their game, something that was there in Game 2 was completely absent in Games 3 and 4. I know you can dissect it as you do so eloquently on Detail and various other shows here on ESPN. I'm not debating any of that. I understand it. But to the eye test, just watching Draymond, the Draymond that we saw in Game 2 was not present in Games 3 and 4 at all and seemed to be a bit psyched out, dare I say. I don't expect that to continue tonight. I saw Clay get off a little bit in the fourth quarter. I expect them to have a good night. I'm looking at the other guys around. But again, like JJ said, they're going to play the same coverage against Steph Curry. We have no reason to believe that there's going to be a significant drop off tonight. I'm rolling with Golden State, but I'll be damned if I deny that I'm nervous as hell. Yes, I am.
JJ, I want you to answer that question. Who has the edge tonight?
Why are you nervous? Hold on a second. Are you nervous because you don't want to get your pick wrong? Are you nervous because you're like, why would I be nervous? I think the Celtics are going to win.
It's called having an ego.
I'm just,
JJ.
It's called having an ego. I'm legitimately asking you, Stephen. I'm just trying to figure this out. Why should I be nervous?
It ain't that damn. JJ, do you not want to be right about your pick? Do you not want to be right?
I would like to be. I'm still going to rest my head at night and go to bed. I'm going to be fine. I'm still going to go golf on the weekend. I'm still fine.
That's right. I'm not going to lose sleep. I'm still going to go home. I'm going to chill out. I'm good, JJ. I'm just saying, from a basketball standpoint, in terms of wanting my pick to be correct, I'm nervous about being wrong because I think that Boston's formidable. You don't have to take it so literal.
I know. I'm only kidding with you, Stephen, and I do agree with you on your answer about who has the edge right now in this series, and I do think it is the Golden State Warriors. And watching Steph Curry cook over these 4 games, and watching the struggles of Jason Tatum, look, I think the Golden State Warriors right now have the advantage in this series, and I don't necessarily believe in momentum. I believe in the X's and O's in a series. I believe in the effort and the intensity you bring to a game. And I think right now, Golden State has the advantage.
Well, thank you, Professor Reddick. I deeply appreciate your synopsis there. Thank you so much. Okay, we understand each other. Orange Crush, take it away.
I almost don't want to take it away now. Still to come on first.